Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Broncos Weekend. I am your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. And in the studio, we have Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin. And later on in the show, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater will join us. The Broncos are coming off a tough loss in Week 10 versus the Kansas City Chiefs and now host the Atlanta Falcons at Empower Field at Mile High in Week 11. So I turn again to my amazing panel. How do you guys see this team responding on Sunday?
Well, they said that the way the Chiefs lost ended ticked them off. So I think they've got some extra fuel going into practice this week, and hopefully that will translate onto the field on Sunday. Also, I think after being away, I think it'll help to be back home. So I'm hoping they respond well. I mean, the tough tests don't stop coming for this team, and they got two of the hardest tests behind them. So hopefully they're resilient, but they got to show up on Sunday.
A good time to be back at home, right? Oh,
yeah. 2 weeks in a row, a bad taste in your mouth, right? And you get an opportunity to play against what's been the league standard, right? When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and unfortunately, they lost that game. But I think they're going to come out and they're going to be pissed off. And I think that's going to make this team play at another level. They've already played so well at times that now just being pissed off, and I think that a part of you needs to be pissed off to play the game of football. It's so violent, right? So I think they're going to respond. I think they're going to respond really, really well.
Sean Payton said that this team is not only tough physically, but also mentally. Seeing the performance in Week 9, seeing the performance in Week 10, what can you say about this team in the way that they didn't let that loss against the Ravens affect them and they went toe-to-toe with the defending Super Bowl champions?
Just how they come out, right, and what they're able to accomplish. That Kansas City defense is one of the tougher defenses in the National Football League. When you're playing against a Baltimore Ravens team, you got to worry about Lamar Jackson's legs. You got to worry about Derrick Henry's legs. We saw what the Broncos did to that running game in the first half. So just watching how they respond each and every week, I think that's what Bronco Country has to be excited about.
I loved the response. I feel like they have a lot of good leaders in that locker room. Even Bo Nix, being a rookie, I feel like he's still a leader, a guy that these guys can look to. And he's just found a way to stay composed, yet still have that fire that O was talking about. You got to be a little bit pissed off and have a chip on your shoulder as well. And I think he has a good mixture of both of those.
Well, earlier this week, we caught up with quarterback Bo Nix, who talked about what's ahead for this team. Meanwhile, head coach Sean Payton shared his short exchange with Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who had high praise for Nix.
We have a young team, and we've done a lot of growing this year. We have some younger guys that are playing a lot of ball, so that only helps. But I definitely think, it's ahead of us. I think we've played some good ball so far, but, I think the consistency piece is going to continue to grow for us, and I think it's right around the corner.
It was funny after the game. You're going across the field, and I see Andy and a few of the other guys, and I see Patrick and known him, and he just turned to me and said, "You got one." And I think he told Bo, "Hey, we're going to have a lot of good games," and that's something coming from him.
Bo Nix is just one of the young guys that has really kind of stepped up, and it's nice to get that high praise and also see his leadership and his poise. But I have to also talk about these other young guys, the Devon Vele's and the Audric Estemes of the world, and the production that they've been able to put out on the field.
You listen to Bo Nix talk, and he talks about the young guys. A lot of young guys on this team. Bo, you're a young guy too, right? You just got in the NFL. But it's amazing to see a young player that carries himself like a veteran. You got to remember that it's still in this same calendar year, this same season where Bo Nix was staring down wide receivers. I think the 2024 season, when you look at the Broncos and how it's been constructed, they have went out there and they have shocked me, honestly. This is a team that has almost $80 million off of their books when it comes to the cap space. They're finding out who are the grinders, who are willing to go and scrap it out. And I'm liking what I see on tape each and every week, because I see a lot of guys that I would like to be in that back alley in the bar, late night when people are trying to jump on me and do some things that I would go into those situations with. So I think the Broncos are in a great situation because of this. They're showing some fight, and these young guys are finding success week in, week out, and really trusting each other and trusting the system.
Yeah, I agree. Sean Payton has said numerous times, young and hungry is a good thing. It can be a problem for other teams. But I think they're really buying into that young identity that they're rolling with. I was able to speak with Devon Vele in the locker room earlier this week, and he said the game's starting to slow down for him a bit. He's still got that excitement of a rookie, but he seems more confident when you speak to him, which I think just comes with time. And he also was very hyped to eventually put that that football touchdown in his man cave, he said.
Nix is rubbing off on all these guys because they all act like they're so much older, and it's like you guys all just got in the league together. But another piece of this Broncos offense that has been stepping up is tight end Adam Troutman. I caught up with Troutman to talk about the resiliency of this team and preparing for Atlanta. Following week 10, you spoke about taking it 1 week at a time. How do you see this team responding on Sunday versus Atlanta?
I see us responding very well because we've done it all season. And you can just take the latest example of, we got blown out, embarrassed by Baltimore, and then come back and you're a field goal with time expiring away from winning. So I have no doubts we'll respond, and it's kind of the makeup of this team at this point. And so we feel confident going into every game.
Over the last few weeks, you've had some pretty amazing plays. What has been working so well for you?
Bo's just kind of found it when it's open. Ball's just found me. At some big moments, and I've capitalized on it, thank God. So no, it's been great. Bo's obviously been playing really well, and he's handling the offense very, very well. And when it comes down to whatever progression he's in, and I'm open, Lucas is open, Nate's open, doesn't matter, he'll find us.
A lot of you guys have been preaching that consistency is key. How do you see this team becoming more efficient in the second half?
I think it's more of just let's continue to do everything we do every day and not getting bored with all the monotonous stuff of same Wednesday schedule, same Thursday schedule, same Friday schedule, same Saturday, same Sunday. You lift at the same times, you eat at the same times, and that can wear on people as the season goes on. So I think if you take care of all that stuff, the game part of it and being prepared for that becomes pretty easy.
The game seems to be slowing down for a lot of these rookies, and you said that nothing really surprises you about Bo Nix anymore. What have you seen in his growth over the last few weeks?
Just comfortability and just control. I think when we step in the huddle, we shut up and he commands it. And everyone in this building has all the confidence in the world in him, and he deserves that because he's shown it. We're obviously super excited that we have him and that they drafted him, and he's been playing pretty much lights out, and he's got a bright future.
Head coach Sean Payton said that this team is not only tough physically, but you guys are tough mentally as well. Speaking on the resiliency of this team from defense to offense, how proud are you of the way you guys have been able to bounce back every week?
Yeah, very proud. And you kind of go into every week, like I said earlier, being confident because you know that no matter what type of emotional loss like this past one we had or brutal loss like we had 2 weeks ago, we're going to bounce back and we're going to come to practice on Wednesday, and we're going to have it flushed and be focused on whatever team's ahead, and obviously that week it's Atlanta.
Adam Troutman definitely has been showing off his skill set over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of kicked off during National Tight Ends Day, and Bo Nix was able to hit 8 different receivers in that first half, so it's nice to kind of see the tight ends getting involved along with everybody else.
I feel like he's building a relationship with those guys, and it shows. A lot of different guys stepping up, specifically Adam Troutman, and he's just fun to watch and honestly fun to hear from. I just feel like he has such a good perspective. He keeps it very real, and I appreciate that from a guy in his position.
What I love about Adam Troutman is he's been able to develop as the season has progressed. We tend to forget that he wasn't the guy. All those off-season reps, all the pass-catching tight end, hey, you're going to be the quarterback safety blanket, that all went to Greg Dulcich. It was not Adam Troutman, but yet he stayed the course, stayed focused, did the things that he had to do. They always say, right, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So when he got that opportunity, he's shining. And that's you got to tip your hat to him because he came in and this was his role, and now he's expanded that. And that's because of how he's approached the game of football each and every day.
He's also a guy that's familiar with Sean Payton, which I think it works in his favor as well.
Yep.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll have Hall of Famers Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin. They're going to head to our video board to break down how the Broncos defense has put on a clinic on how to pressure the quarterback. Plus, we'll have the numbers you need to know ahead of Week 11. We will be right back.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
I think the interesting part about them is their personnel never changes. You see the same dudes on the field each and every play, each and every snap. And that's pretty cool to see because sometimes different offenses, they don't present you the same personnel, so it's going to be a good challenge.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. That was cornerback Pat Surtain II talking about preparing to face the Falcons offense. Coming into Week 11, the Broncos still have one of the best defenses in the NFL. For more, let's send it over to Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin.
Thanks, Elisa. Right now, I got the big homie, Steve Atwater here, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater. And we're going to talk about what makes this Bronco defense so good, but specifically, we're going to focus on some of the sacks they had this past week.
We're going to start off with the first one here. As you'll see, you got Jonathan Cooper down here on the end, and you got Zach Allen right here, and you got Jonah Ellis. And right now, it looks like we got 5 of them coming. Not everybody's coming, though. With Vance Joseph's defense, it makes it look like that a lot. These two guys are going to cross, Jonah Ellis and Zach Allen, and this guy doesn't know what's going on right here. He blows by him, and Jonathan Cooper actually is the guy who makes this sack happen by not getting too far upfield, knowing that Zach Allen is coming on the outside. Zach Allen has that burst of speed and is able to get up the field, get the sack, and finish the play. What did you see there, Big O?
I see an unselfish defense, all 11 guys playing together. That's been the theme all year for Vance Joseph's defense. I love the fact that guys are relentless with their effort, but you pointed out Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan Cooper knows that Zach Allen is coming around the edge, so he rushes that right tackle straight down the middle. He gives himself up and says that I am not going to make this play. This play call, the design of the structure of this defense, it's not made for me to make the play on this play. So he knows that I got to be tough, I got to be strong, but I got to get this 300-plus human being to bounce back to create a shorter edge for Zach Allen coming around.
By the way, Zach Allen has 5 sacks on the year. Okay, now on to Jonathan Cooper's sack. Right now, Patrick Mahomes, I think he sees cover 2 right now. A little bit concerning, but it's not going to be cover 2. They're actually playing cover 1. This linebacker's taking the running back. This one is blitzing, and got a lot of action there. Jonathan Cooper on the edge, though, gets upfield, gets the offensive lineman upfield a little bit too far, and is able to dip underneath. That's kind of risky, though, Big O.
Yeah, it's risky because Jonathan Cooper has contained. If Patrick Mahomes gets out of the pocket, Jonathan Cooper has to be able to make that play. And we know what Patrick Mahomes has done over the last couple years with his escapability and being able to buy some times with his legs.
As you can see, Patrick Mahomes is trying to hit his favorite target, Travis Kelce. PJ Locke has him locked up.
The coverage is matching what's happening in the secondary. I love how you talked about the cover 2. I love when you talk the DB stuff because you know when you're going against an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, you have to show him something before the snap, and then at the end of the snap,
change it up.
You have to be able to change it up.
Yes.
And they're going to need that this week, right? Atlanta, that football team, only giving up 20 sacks on the year. Right now, they are tied right now with the Kansas City Chiefs for 20 sacks allowed on the season. We're going to have to do this week in order to get Kirk Cousins down as well.
Now we're featuring Nick Bonito. This guy has had a great year so far. And on this particular play, the tight end is actually going to help him to get the sack. He pushes him a little bit further upfield and helps him get past that left tackle a little bit faster. And, man, Nick Bonito puts that dip on him. And a dip plus speed, what does that equal? Mm-hmm. That equals a sack.
There you go.
Beautiful sack. What do you like about Nick Bonito's game?
Just his flexibility on this one, right? I've always hated when you're kicking out there and you're getting ready to go to battle with a defensive lineman or a defensive end, and their body is just built different. Their body does things that offensive tackles' bodies cannot do. So for Nick Bonito to be able to dip underneath this offensive tackle and yet stay on his footing and be able to burst now at the end of his rush to get Patrick Mahomes, it's just impressive all around.
That's enough for us. Hey, Elisa, back to you.
Thanks, guys. As we head into Week 11, we are watching the clash between 2 potential playoff teams. The Broncos hosting the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday at Empower Field at Mile High. The last time these 2 teams faced off, it was 2020. The Broncos set their eyes on a win to improve to 6-5 on the season, while the Falcons offense goes up against the Broncos' top 5 defense. We took a look at this matchup and found all the numbers you need to know. Looking at this game from a playoff perspective, the Broncos currently hold the 7th seed in the AFC playoff race. According to Next Gen Stats, the Broncos currently have a 53% chance to make the playoffs. With a win on Sunday, that jumps to 62%. However, with a loss, that percentage drops to 40%. The only season the Broncos made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback was in 1983 with Hall of Fame quarterback John Elway. Denver is one of 5 AFC teams with 5+ wins since Week 3. Meanwhile, Atlanta comes into Week 11 holding a 6-4 record. The Broncos defense ranks 4th in points per game allowed, holding teams to under 17 points in 3 of their last 4 games. They will look to rattle Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins, who has 10 giveaways in 2024, second most amongst quarterbacks this season. The Broncos blitz rate continues to remain the highest in the NFL. Blitzing at 43.1%, Cousins has a 59.3 completion percentage versus the blitz in 2024, which ranks 25th in the NFL. In Week 10, Cousins was sacked 3 times, had no touchdowns, and 1 interception. However, Cousins has an 114.2 passer rating on quick throws. That's under 2.5 seconds from snap to throw. Defensive end Zach Allen leads all DTs with 42 quarterback pressures, and he also has 5 sacks, adding to Denver's defense that has the 2nd most sacks this season. The Broncos rank 5th in total yards allowed per game and remain strong in their run defense, which will be key in slowing down Falcons running back Bijan Robinson. Robinson has had 5 consecutive games with 100+ scrimmage yards. That's the longest active streak in the NFL and the longest by a Falcons player since 2018. In Week 10, the Broncos defense held Chiefs running back Kareem Hunt to 2.5 yards per carry for only 35 yards. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix and the Broncos offense will look to take advantage of the Falcons' last-ranked pass rush. Nix leads all rookies with 10 passing touchdowns in 2024 and ranks 5th in the NFL with a 10 TD, 2 interception ratio since Week 4. When not facing pressure, Nix has had 7 passing touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The Falcons' defense pressures opponents on 27.4% of dropbacks in 2024, which is last in the NFL. The Falcons also have the lowest sack rate in the NFL. They have only 9 sacks this season. For reference, the Broncos have 4 players with 5+ sacks. A potential matchup we may see on Sunday is cornerback Pat Surtain II going against wide receiver Drake London. In Week 10, London was targeted 12 times and finished with 8 receptions and 97 yards. Surtain has allowed an impressive 0.6 yards per snap in coverage in 2024, second lowest amongst cornerbacks. Another Falcons playmaker to keep an eye on is tight end Kyle Pitts, who has had 6 games with 50+ receiving yards in 2024. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus for Week 11 and will reveal which players our analysts believe will call game versus the Falcons. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It is time for Fantasy Focus. Broncos head coach Sean Payton put full trust in his 5th-round pick, Audric Estime, on Sunday. The rookie running back took 45% of snaps, and he made them count. Estime recorded a career-high 14 carries for 53 yards, earning 5.3 fantasy points. Meanwhile, Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin combined for just 3 carries. So Estime was the obvious hot hand in a huge road test against the undefeated Chiefs. Plus, Sean Payton has made it clear he wants to get Estime more involved and said he'll continue to get more reps. Both good signs. So should you add Audric Estime to your fantasy roster? Well, there's no guarantee that he'll continue to be the go-to guy moving forward. However, his potential for high volume should make him a priority on the waiver wire, especially heading into the Broncos' Week 11 matchup against the Atlanta Falcons defense that ranks 20th in rushing yards per game allowed. And speaking of that defense, it features a familiar face in former Broncos safety Justin Simmons. We caught up with Courtland Sutton on what it will be like to go up against his good friend and former teammate.
You know, watching him on film, he's still Justin Simmons. You know, he's the guy that goes out there and makes plays. I'm sure that he gives a lot of the guys in front of him confidence, knowing that he's back there because he's such a smart player, such a reliable player, really good tackler, really good, you know, player at finding the ball. Man, it's gonna be fun getting to go against. You know, practicing against him for years is one thing, but to get live bullets is gonna be fun. You know, I jokingly told him, I was, hey, bro, if you see me coming across the middle, just remember we're friends.
I feel like you can be friends before the game starts, but once the game starts, all bets are off, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get you. When I was out there on that field, oh man, I remember my first time like playing against the Broncos when I left in 2015, and texting Vaughn, texting D, where like I'm coming for you. Now I get the opportunity where I really get to get after you. And offensive lineman, you get bull rushed in practice. You're not supposed to do that, for the defensive line. And for our offensive lineman, we can't cut those guys, right? But you go in a game, you're allowed to do those things. So I tell Vaughn and D Ware, like, I'm coming after you. I'm going to get after it this week. So it's fun going against your former teammates, but at the same time, there's a bit of seriousness. And when that first kickoff, you're going until that last whistle.
Justin Simmons was such a staple for the Broncos defense for 8 seasons. So he obviously built very strong relationships with his teammates and the fans, really. He's very beloved. So I feel like he'll have a warm welcome in that regard. Court said he's very excited to see him. Same with Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain also said that they're still in a group chat together and there's going to be a lot of trash talk, like you mentioned, leading up to it. So I imagine that's fun. It just adds a little bit extra when you get to go up against your friend, I imagine. Still shake hands at the end, but you obviously want to win. These guys are competitors, right?
Oh yeah,
no
they definitely want that win on Sunday, and one way to do that is to call game, and that's what we're going to head to now. It's call game. Each week our amazing guests will pick a player they think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. It's week 11 and the team is hosting the Atlanta Falcons at Empower Field at Mile High. So I have to start with you. Who do you have calling game on Sunday?
Earlier in the show, we talked about guys playing pissed off and just being angry and upset at the way they lost this past week. I got a guy that should be pissed off. He had 1 sack this past week. I think he has 7 on the year. And he honestly could have had 2 or 3 sacks, in my opinion, this past week. And that's Nick Benito. I think that he has got better and better each and every year that I've seen him. And what has surprised me the most is how he's transitioning into his second pass rush move once the first one is shut off by the offensive lineman. I think this week going against a guy like Kirk Cousins, a little bit less mobile, and is going to stay in that pocket, that Nick Benito could have 3 sacks on the day. So I got him calling game.
Well, that's a good pick, Bradey, who do you got?
Well, I'm going with the young gun, Devon Vele. He scored his first touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs last week. That was a big moment for him. Now he's got that under his belt. I feel like the sky is the limit for this kid who is continuing to gain confidence, and the pass game is gaining consistency with Bo Nix. So I'm going Devon Vele. I hope this is a big game for him.
Well, there you have it. We will see on Sunday who calls game. For Denver 7's Bradey King, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, I am your host and team reporter Elisa Hernandez, and this is Broncos Weekend. Thank you for watching.